What an honor. Congratulations, Ashley and Brittany. Let's give them a hand. Speaking of Black excellence, I am now happy to introduce our first speaker. George Chip Greenidge Jr. is the founding executive director of Greatest Minds, a Boston-based BIOP-run nonprofit focused on mentoring young people at every level who explore college, career, citizenship, and volunteerism as a way to bring about positive change in civil society. He is also a visiting fellow at the Harvard University Kennedy School Ash Center for Democratic Governance and Innovation, where he researches urban cities, affordable housing, and the impact of displacement policies and gentrification on its residents. Recently, George was recognized by the United Negro College Fund and the Boston-led Red Sox with their inaugural Homecoming Award for his lifelong commitment to providing mentorship to over 10,000 high school and college students pursuing college degrees in Boston and Atlanta, Georgia. Let's give him a hand as he comes to the stage.
You guys didn't know you're gonna have Rick Ross introduce you today, huh? Let me get a huh. Let me get a huh. Hello, everyone. I get that all the time in Shaquille O'Neal. But I got a better three-point than him all the time. Let's give it up. Hi, everyone. I am so honored to be here today as the Affinity celebration honoring graduates at Harvard University. This Affinity celebrations are student-led, staff-supported events that aim to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of those graduates who come from historically marginalized backgrounds. Moreover, they also provide an opportunity for graduates to honor those who help them achieve their milestone while centering their cultural traditions and values. What a special day to be in Harvard Yard with myself and 5 generations of Black Bostonians and Black Cantabrigians. That's who I am here today. So glad to be here. I also have my mom and dad are here, 5 generations. Can you please wave? 80 years old. So glad to be here. So let me tell you, as a Cantabrigian, as a Bostonian, as a Harvard alumni, as an HBCU graduate of Morehouse College, where my Morehouse? Spell house! And a proud Omega man right here, Mega Psi Phi. Where's my D9 at? I don't hear y'all. I don't hear y'all. Today, as I look at all of you, it's all about Black excellence. I look at you with the lens of joy, Black love, and just the love of being around our people. Let me go back to 1943, okay? I looked online and I saw an article by the New York Daily News editorial board, which wrote about the Negro problem. In 1943, 80 years ago, a good many Southern Negroes have moved in recent years, especially since the war ended, to find more money and a freer life. It is not likely that they found more freedom. They do not have to obey Jim Crow. They don't have to have the public convenience and may even be comforted. But all in all, they probably found life in the North is no better than life in the South. They are confined to segregated districts where the rents are high, the living conditions unstable, their chances for employment are limited to service jobs and generally menial positions. Their educational privilege may be better, but they soon find the education isn't much to help them at all. A college-trained Negro is a Pullman porter or an elevator operator because he has found that the white man will not give him a job for which he's qualified for. In extreme youth, the Negro child may not be aware of the situations that his dark skin places him in, but as he moves through adolescence, he sees that he's different, that life is going to be hard for him. This, we think, is a reason why there are muggers and gangs and hoodlums in Harlem and elsewhere. The youngsters are turned bitter at an early age. When we see that the chances are against them, they develop what they like to be a what the hell attitude because they have little to nothing to lose. That was 80 years ago in 1940 that they said in the paper. But today, graduates, during your matriculation at Harvard University, especially undergraduates, you witnessed under 4 years of Donald Trump presidential administration, we have witnessed the worst side of America in my lifetime. Through news reports, social media, new congressional and presidential federal policies, we've seen firsthand racism at its worst. White supremacy, a double standard, and how they affect the lives of Black Americans and Black BIPOC people in the United States. As our former president refused to denounce white supremacy, we watched glorification of self-armed militia movements in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and the formation of the Proud Boys. These protests in Charlottesville, Virginia, and most recently, the Capitol Hill attempted coup and the insurrection in Washington, D.C. These events and new organizations reminded me of the dark history of the Ku Klux Klan. We must stop these acts of discrimination by remembering the horrifying history of racism, murder that has targeted our Black Americans in this country. Just like many of you, I was involved in those protests, those peaceful protests regarding the wrongful deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Rayshard Brooks, and many more at the hands of police officers. I participated in Atlanta with the students I teach at Georgia State University. I even organized community standouts here in the Boston area. Greatest Minds students and Black college alumni got together and worked together in unison to make sure that these were a reminder that people are willing to stand up against injustice. I was also amazed by the number of these demonstrations, marches, and protests. These were international rallies that could be arguably the largest protests the world has ever seen in regards to addressing structural racism. And I tell you, it was your generation. Let me say this again. It was your generation, your friends, your allies that showed us we're not going to let this happen on our watch. Can you give it up for yourselves, y'all? How many of y'all were out there? We must confront these efforts. Our work must go deeper with the root causes of these problems plaguing the Black American citizens since we arrived in bondage over 400 years ago in 1619. In the 1860s, the United States was fascinated with the stories of Horatio Alger, who highlighted the rags to riches stories that the American dream that young Black boys can succeed. These stories have become folklore on how to attain the American dream, that one can conquer all obstacles through honest work, honesty, and determination. These fictional tales of success have been rationalized by mainstream media as a reality, which is not the case for Black Americans. There are serious historical barriers that have been faced generationally while faced living in this country for centuries. These generational stories, I tell you, are stories of struggle, discrimination, and racist acts that's been passed down through oral traditions and through family members as whispers of our ancestors. I record the story of my great-grandfather, George Reginald Margetson, who immigrated here from the Caribbean island of St. Kitts to Ellis Island in New York in 1901 to Boston. He was told that America and the city of Cambridge was the golden gates of opportunity and streets were paved with gold. He moved here to pursue his dream of writing fiction and poetry. However, his dream was deferred. His works were not initially published in the 1900s due to the fact that editorial houses believed that there is no audience for the work of the Negro. In the 1950s, my great uncle, George C. Greenidge from Roxbury, was discriminated by the Pullman Company, being refused the position of becoming a conductor because the color of his skin and his race. Also, my mother here, in 1960, Mom, as she told me, when she was 20 years old and graduated from high school, she wanted to fly the skies and be a stewardess. However, when she applied to the airline training school, she was told politely, "We do not hire black women as stewardesses." She was told to forgo her dream. All these indications, not because of their lack of talent, they were due because of skin color. I even had my own blatant share of racism. In the 90s, I asked for an educational leave from my own job to get a master's at Harvard University. I realized I needed to get an advanced degree in order to move forward as a manager in this position. My request is even denied, mainly because my supervisors believed that I wouldn't come back to the institution after. Can you believe that? Others in the same job were able to come to Harvard University, but they denied my own request. So I look at these stories of my family members, and I realize we are part of something called the long civil rights movement. The long civil rights movement is something that is not separated from the struggle of black early Americans throughout the cities of the nation wanting to participate in American full society. It never dies. It lives on today, and Black Lives Matter is a continuation of the many movements that the long movements in African American freedom and struggle in this country. The legacy of my family's obvious discrimination are not separated from the seminal long movement work of Fannie Lou Hamer, Mary McLeod Bethune, Eartha Kitt, Marcus Garvey, Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King, W.E.B. Du Bois, Colin Kaepernick, Caroline Hunter, Howard Fuller, and many others. I agree with you. As a black man, I don't have a choice. I must be up here and be present and show the world what I'm made of. My presence benefits my ancestors' dream, pain, and hard work. So as we continue today, we must look at all the things that we must go forward in building our communities. Last month, I was appointed by Michelle Wu to be on the City of Boston's Reparations Task Force. What an honor. While we must address immediate needs, we must objectively look at the focus agenda of the disproportionate mistreatment of black Americans as we work to fix correct America's problems. As the State of Union speech in 2009, Professor Lonnie Guinier stated that the black agenda is the American agenda. And as we look at shrinking budgets from cities, federal governments, we must look at the systematic level of how to approach this. You know, we got to go after these banks, y'all. How many got overdraft fees? All right. Redlining. All right. You got to go after them. We got to go after them together. And also, we also must push back and understand that these fraudulent accounts, redlining, and predatory loans are not something that we must stand up for. Moreover, we must defend diversity and affirmative action programs and stamp out college legacy admissions and pay-to-play wealthy parents. Let me say it again. Let's stamp out pay-to-play wealthy by white parents, because minority children are left behind with the fictional tale that Horatio and Alger are consistently reminded that their only portion to be able to compete is through merit and talent. In the 2008 New York article featured by Raj Shetty, which concluded that black boys raised in America, even in the wealthiest families, some of them in the well-to-do neighborhoods, still earn less in adulthood than white boys with similar backgrounds, according to a sweeping study that traced millions of children. White boys who grow up rich are likely to remain that way. Black boys raised at the top, however, are more likely to become poor and stay wealthy in their own adult households. These are, again, due income disparities, property transfer, prejudicial treatment, and inheritance. These issues must be the confront, and we must be the forefront and the center as we dismantle racism and white supremacy in this country. So I close out with you guys to really think about the long-term goal. You know, there was a podcast by Michael Gladwell, and he talked about what are you going to do with your 4,000 weeks living in the world, okay? Think about that. You have 4,000 times to think about how you're going to be able to challenge the world and be able to live inside society and change the world. This is what your goal is today in society, is to think about that. As I close today, I want you guys to remember one thing. BML, Black Lives Matter, has always mattered over 400 years. And I want you to turn and think about the leadership when you walk across this stage today and also on Thursday, to carry those black dreams of your mothers, your fathers, your aunts, your uncles, your sisters and brothers, and those great-grandparents with you. Also, those friends and neighbors and teachers that told you to keep on going. And also, think about those cousins of yours that are locked up. You know what I mean? They here must walk the stage with you as well. So I call on Maya Angelou. When you walk across that stage, you say, come with me. You bring all those people with you as you go across. And just remember, you wear the crimson, a special black crimson. Sisters and brothers, it brings great responsibility. And I tell you guys, it is in your hands to show the world what you're truly made of. So please, I welcome you and I thank you today. I do want to shout out a couple of students that I met. Abdul Razik Zakriel, where are you? Where's Abdul? Give it up. Great working with you. LaShawn Banks from HKS. Where's my sister Rad? Aaliyah Collins. Where's my sister Aaliyah? And also, we got to give up for Pam Everhart. Is Pam Everhart here, one of your HLS alumni, and also Kenneth Reeves, HLS alumni, because they're always got your back and making sure that you are going to be the best that you can be. I thank you. Oh, I have the best pleasure right now to award Dr. Aliyah L. Alman for the 2023 Harvard Black Affinity Faculty Award. And before I bring her up, I want to say one thing. Today at Harvard University marks a special day for graduates. I was looking in the Harvard archives. In the 1920s, Harvard University's exclusion of African Americans from freshman dorms to accommodate Southern whites sparked a national controversy. Let me tell you, 100 years from this graduation day, the campaign against the Harvard's exclusionary policy began in the spring 1922 when black students appealed to President Abbott Lawrence Lowell to no avail. In the summer, white alumni circulated a petition among the 200 Harvard graduates. 145 endorsed the petition, expressing dismay over Harvard's discrimination against African American students and the surrender of its northern ideas of democracy and Harvard's ideals of justice. In just January 1923, the Board of Overseers held a special meeting to discuss that exclusionary policy, and the faculty committee was appointed to study the matter. What actually happened is the Board of Overseers in 1923, 100 years ago, unanimously banned discrimination for reasons of race, religion at Harvard University and affirmed the right of African Americans to equal opportunity at Harvard University. So today, class, you represent that 100 years of the Board of Overseers taking that first step to challenge racism. So give you guys a round of applause for yourself. Now it gives me great pleasure at this time to present the 2023 Harvard Affinity Celebration Faculty Award. I present this award to a colleague in the field of academic change who's driving change to advance equity and addressing the ways that displacement policies impact marginalized communities. The planning committee asked me to do this, so I said I'm going to do this because this is my sister right here. The Harvard Black Faculty Award honors a faculty member who demonstrates a strong commitment to social justice. It is not related to race, class, and education. The award recipient empowers individual students on their educational journey and contributes to the greater community. Faculty are nominated above and beyond their dedication to equity in the classroom. Just think about it. Dr. Aaliyah from Harvard Graduate School of Education, Dr. Aaliyah El Amin. Dr. Aaliyah El Amin is a practitioner and researcher committed to ensuring the educators have knowledge and tools they need to disrupt systems of oppression. Her specific areas include liberatory education models, social justice schooling, and critical pedagogy and youth participation action research. She holds a BA in sociology from Davidson College, a master's in elementary education from Georgia State University, principal licensure from University of Georgia, and an EDM from educational policy from HGSE, and also, again, sister is bad, y'all. A doctoral degree in education policy and leadership and instructional practice from HGSE. I want to tell you, you come a part of the people of the other professors like Charles Ogletree, Sarah Lawrence Lightfoot, Charles Willie, Lenny Guinier, Henry Louis Gates, Cornel West, Charles Ogletree, and Derek Bell. You are part of that legacy, sister, and they know it, and they want to present this beautiful award to you. Thank you, and we'll go on with the program. Thank you, everybody.